He forged your signature, your brother's plan will be. Archangel Michael says the night is not silent about you. A whisper moves through the rooms where papers sit in quiet stacks. The truth has already turned the doorknob and entered your life. You felt the shift in the air like a storm building behind a closed window. Shadows held a conversation that your spirit overheard without effort. The betrayal did not start today, yet today it stands up and reveals its face. Your signature lives on important pages with the grace of your own hand. But on those pages that same grace was imitated with careful cruelty. Ink pretended to be you while your brother rehearsed a victory that was never his. The angels noticed the indentation of strokes on the paper fibers. They traced the path of the pen and found hesitation where your hand never hesitates. They marked the loop of your name where a small tremor betrayed the forger's fear. This plan grew in a room that smelled like dust and reheated ambition. A phone lit the table with a pale square of cold light. Numbers were exchanged and doors were closed and loyalty was traded for rush. Archangel Michael says you are not late for your own destiny. You stand exactly on the line where justice arrives with patient footsteps. Your courage does not need noise because truth produces its own thunder. There is a file that seems ordinary because it hides in plain sight. It sits where your eyes pass often enough to become blind to it. That is where a copy of the signature sleeps curled like a snake. He practiced your name on a sheet that carries faint impressions beneath. Press a page softly and the ghost of the practice will show its pattern. The angels already photographed the ghost with memory that never fades. A witness exists who thinks their part was small. They held a stamp, they offered a date, and they told themselves it was nothing. Tonight their silence shakes because conscience has a heartbeat that gets louder. Your brother saw your kindness as a door without a lock. He believed that blood could excuse his hand on what is not his. He forgot that heaven invoices every secret transaction at the right hour. You did not invite a war, yet a war arrived dressed like family. It began with borrowed words and ended with a borrowed name. A false path always looks straight at first and then breaks under its own weight. The property of your name commands doors to open. He wanted that command without earning the authority behind it. So he stole the voice of your handwriting to speak where you did not speak. Archangel Michael says he is not stronger than the vow you made with your future. Your path has seals that cannot be lifted by imitation. Your purpose carries a scent the thief cannot copy. A registrar remembers a detail that seems trivial. The pen used that day was not the pen kept on the counter. A switch happened with a nervous joke that did not land. One folder carries an out-of-order page number. Look at the corner and you will see the difference in paper quality. The page that matters feels smoother because guilt always tries to look perfect. He spoke your name while shaking hands he did not deserve to shake. He promised timelines with confidence he did not own. He celebrated in a room that borrowed light from an afternoon that will never bless him. There is a receipt with a time stamp that collides with your memory. You are on a different street building a different piece. The map of your day refuses to align with the fiction written in ink. A friend keeps a photo that captures your presence elsewhere. The background clock tells the truth with quiet certainty. Even the reflection in the window sells the secret for free. Archangel Michael says your calm is not weakness. Your stillness is a courtroom where lies lose their breath. Stand in your stillness and let the evidence walk to you. He tried to move the boundary stones of family and trust. He forgot that heaven measures land with tapes that extend beyond human reach. He will watch those stones march back to their rightful positions. You do not need rage to validate the harm. You require clarity, and clarity already sits on your table. It brings a pen that writes verdicts without shouting. In the hallway of your mind is a door marked with courage. You open it and step into a light that recognizes your face. Every step you take now is counted as recovery. Documents will gather under a single lamp. The angels will turn the pages and point at the same place every time. A pattern appears like stars forming a constellation that spells your vindication. Your brother rehearsed excuses that cannot survive noon. He stacked them like cards and told himself that wind would not come. Wind always comes when truth enters a room. There is a call you will receive from someone who used to avoid you. Their voice will begin steady and then soften under the weight of memory. They will place a piece of the puzzle on your palm and ask for peace later. He will tell himself that he did it for family. He will narrate sacrifice while hiding appetite. A borrowed story cannot carry the weight of a stolen name. Archangel Michael says this exposure arrives with grace. Your dignity will not be stained by the mess you did not create. The cleanup will happen without ruining your hands. Your signature is a melody that only you can play. He tried to hum it and rushed the rests where your rhythm breathes. The sheet music of your life refuses to be forged. There is a banker who remembers the scent of the room that day. They recall the tension that hangs when honesty is absent. They remember a glance that avoided eye contact and fell to the floor. A notary book has a line that does not match the log. The ink shade tells a different story than the date suggests. A hurried correction sits like a bruise on the margin. You have felt the fatigue of defending what should defend itself. You have carried proof in your chest and wished it could speak. Now it speaks because the hour is finished with silence. Your brother believed attention would outrun accountability. He thought movement could blur the shape of theft. Stillness reveals more than speed, and heaven has been still. Your ancestors stand at the edge of your sleep. They place a cloak of steadiness across your shoulders. They hand you a lantern that knows which corners to light. Archangel Michael says mercy and justice will walk together. Mercy will guard your heart from becoming what hurt you. Justice will ensure the door closes on the scheme that tried to close on you. There is a paragraph hidden in the fine print that exposes intent. It redirects authority to a name that is not yours. It tries to sound helpful, yet its music feels sour on the tongue. You will touch the first page and feel a coldness that does not belong to you. You will turn the second and sense the heat of a hand that feared discovery. By the third page, the weight of the lie will become visible as a curve of pressure. He practiced your initials until the letters obeyed. He forgot that letters are not the soul. The soul always introduces itself even when the mouth is borrowed. Your kindness once covered his debts of character. That cover has reached its expiry and returns to you clean. He must now meet the day without your shadow to hide under. There is an email sent at a time you were on the road. Your phone records will testify with quiet accuracy. The angle of a sunbeam in a photo will agree. He told a collaborator that you would not notice. He described you as busy and trusting and distracted. He mistook trust for absence and gentleness for ignorance. Archangel Michael says the ledger balances tonight. Every deficit returns to its rightful owner. Every surplus finds its way back to you with interest of peace. You will meet eyes that once danced away from yours. They will hold steady because the season of pretending has ended. Their first word will feel like the first drop of rain before a cleansing storm. Do not carry the weight of explaining your worth. Your worth has its own language and the paper understands it now. The stamp that pretended power will fail under that language. He will attempt a new story once the first collapses. Patterns like this always reach for new costumes. Heaven has removed the wardrobe and left him only with the truth. You will choose boundaries that stand even when the room grows loud. Your yes will be a bridge only for honest feet. Your no will be a gate that swings with quiet finality. There is a desk where you will sign your real name with calm. That signature will feel like the ocean exhaling after a long tide. It will sit on the page like a promise that keeps itself. A judge will not need many words. Clarity looks after its own defense. The decision will align with what your spirit already knows. Your brother will watch the life he borrowed return to its owner. He will learn that shortcuts have tolls he cannot afford. He will stand outside the old door and hear it click shut with grace. Archangel Michael says your home receives a new lock tonight. Trust enters through that lock and sits where fear used to sit. You will sleep with the window open because the night has returned to safety. From this moment forward, your name gains a new brightness. It becomes a bell that only you can ring. It calls opportunities that recognize your true voice. He will remember the day he traded your love for convenience. He will hold the memory like a warm stone that begins to burn. He will know that the burn is not your vengeance but the lesson of truth. You will not become a historian of pain. You will become an architect of peace. Your blueprint unfolds without apology or delay. There is a song you set aside when worry grew loud. Pick it up and let your day find its rhythm again. Your hands were made for building, not for guarding against thieves. A door that had been difficult will open smooth. People who once hesitated will lean in with trust. Your presence will feel like sunrise to rooms that forgot morning. Archangel Michael says your signature returns to your hand fully. No shadow remains on its edge. It carries a light that even paper can feel. The account that tried to absorb your future empties itself of entitlement. It releases what it held and apologizes without words. The apology is the simple silence of surrender. You will gift yourself a morning with no explanation. You will pour a cup and let the quiet taste like victory. You will look at your reflection and see the owner of your name. You will decide how to speak to your brother with wisdom. Your voice will not tremble because it owes no debt to fear. You will set a boundary and heaven will stand beside it. The people meant for your journey will take their places. They will see your steadiness and relax into their assignments. The work ahead will feel possible because your name is free. He will try to re-enter the story by claiming misunderstanding. Your memory does not carry malice, only record. Record will be sufficient and peace will be protected. You will delete the number of confusion from your phone. You will keep the number of peace on speed dial in your heart. You will live like a person who knows whose signature is on their life. Archangel Michael says the storm has paid its bill. The table is reset for the feast of normal days. You will eat rest and drink clarity and sleep like a promise kept. The pages will find their proper folders. The folders will find their proper cabinets. Your life will find its proper rhythm. The world moves forward with your name correctly placed. Doors hear it and open with recognition. You walk through and the floor remembers your weight. Nothing of you is missing. Everything of you is present and accounted for. Your future looks over its shoulder and smiles because you caught up. He forged your signature but not your destiny. He plotted a path but not the terrain. The terrain belongs to the one who hears heaven and walks anyway. This chapter closes without tearing the book. The spine remains strong and the pages lie flat. You turn them without flinching and keep what is yours. You are the witness, the survivor, and the rightful owner. The inheritance of peace returns and sits on your doorstep. You open the door and let it in without ceremony. Archangel Michael says it is finished in a way that releases you. What was stolen is counted and restored. What was threatened is sealed and guarded. Now you move forward with a name that needs no defense. You sign where you choose to sign. And every mark you make sings with the certainty of truth. Archangel Michael says the path ahead is clean even if the air still remembers the storm. Your feet touch ground that no longer shifts under borrowed names. The day greets you like a witness ready to testify on your behalf. You collect the loose ends of the narrative and lay them on a wooden table. Threads that used to tangle now stretch into straight lines. Order returns as naturally as breath after a long swim. A white envelope arrives with a seal that looks ordinary and is not. Inside, numbers reconcile with the stubborn grace of truth. Debts walk to their rightful owners and bow without protest. The registrar writes a brief note acknowledging discrepancies discovered. No drama attends the ink, only accuracy and resolve. Facts stand at attention while assumptions sit down and keep quiet. You visit the office where the first imitation tried to dress itself as you. The chair carries the memory of tension, but your posture teaches it peace. Light rests on the counter and refuses to move for lies. A clerk who once looked away meets your gaze and steadies. They remember the pen switch, the out-of-place joke, the tremor on a borrowed signature. They speak calmly and the room exhales. Documents gather in a neat stack stamped by time, not by panic. Each page is a stepping stone that holds your weight. No stone wobbles, no corner curls in protest. A quiet investigator closes a folder with finality. They nod at the constellation of small proofs that became a sky of certainty. The case moves like a train on a well-laid track. Your brother sits with his story shrinking at the edges. He studies his hands as if they could explain the distance between plan and consequence. They cannot, and the silence grows honest. You choose your words with the gravity of someone who refuses to be cruel. Boundaries speak in a tone that does not bruise. They state, they hold, they do not negotiate with harm. He imagines a future where shortcuts still work and finds none. He touches the cold fence of reality and understands its temperature. The lesson is plain, and the tuition has been collected. Archangel Michael says your heart remains soft without being open to breach. Compassion returns wearing armor that does not rattle. Wisdom keeps the gate and smiles at the sunrise. You sign your name in a new place where the ink feels like home. The page receives you with relief, like soil after gentle rain. Your letters arrive with their true music. The banker who remembered the scent of the room writes a careful summary. Dates align, stamps confess, and entries stop pretending. A balance sheet of trust is redrawn in your favor. You walk out of the building and the city acknowledges your pace. Crosswalks grant green without hurry. Even the breeze decides to be on time. An elder relative calls with a voice you thought you had lost. They speak of history without making it a chain. They set down an old burden and your shoulders feel it loosen. Your home smells like the life you chose, not the mess you endured. Curtains lift slightly as if checking for trouble and finding none. The walls relax and memories reorganize themselves. You replace the old lock and keep the new key in a quiet drawer. It clinks once and falls asleep. Security becomes a habit rather than a performance. Work finds you with a steadier hand than before. You return emails with clarity and act without fog. Your calendar looks like a garden tended by attention. A friend who witnessed your poise brings coffee. They sit across the table and say little because little is needed. Presence completes what words would only crowd. You open a notebook reserved for plans that respect your name. First lines appear without strain. They point forward, never toward the heap of what almost derailed you. In the evening you walk a familiar block with unfamiliar ease. Streetlights blink awake in an order that feels like agreement. You realize the neighborhood sounds different when fear is gone. A photograph from months ago resurfaces unexpectedly. Your smile, then, carried a weight it no longer carries. You honor that version of you and step further into the new one. Archangel Michael says restoration is not only return but upgrade. What comes back arrives untangled and brighter at the edges. It fits better than it did before because you fit yourself. You draft a letter that will never need to be sent. It acknowledges the betrayal without inviting it for dinner. It thanks your endurance for teaching you your own capacity. The witness who thought their part was small sleeps better now. Their conscience has stopped pacing the floor. Truth rewards even the timid participant who chooses daylight. A final meeting unfolds in a room with simple chairs. No one raises their voice because the facts already speak. A conclusion writes itself in 3 neat lines. Funds move like a tide that finally remembers the shore. They return to the account that bears your real signature. Transactions click into place with the relief of correction. You install new rituals at the threshold of your days. A quiet checklist, a second glance, a practiced pause. Trust and verification become teammates, not rivals. Your brother begins the long walk that belongs to him. His footsteps echo in corridors of consequence. He has his own angels, they are stern and merciful at once. You do not watch him constantly, you face forward. Attention is a resource and you spend it on building. Peace ripens in that economy. A counselor helps you lay down the last shards of vigilance. You learn to distinguish wisdom from worry by the way your lungs behave. Wisdom lets you breathe, worry steals the air. Invitations return to your inbox with names you had hoped to see again. People sensed your steadiness from a distance and adjusted their course toward you. The room of your life grows larger without losing warmth. Archangel Michael says joy is not a guest here, it is a resident. It knows where the cups are and how you like your mornings. It will answer the door when opportunity knocks. You visit a quiet shop and buy a frame for the document that almost got taken. Not to worship the paper, but to honor the truth it carries. You hang it where light finds it, but pride does not. The phone buzzes and you let it wait until you finish laughing. This is how you measure healing now, by the pauses you permit. Silence is not a threat, it is a meadow. A new project arrives with elegance. It respects your time, pays on schedule, and aligns with who you are. You say yes without bargaining against yourself. Your circle becomes precise and kind. They speak directly and keep confidences like gardens. You feel safe enough to dream loudly again. Night settles and the moon writes a silver receipt across the rooftops. It itemizes peace, clarity, and rightful ownership. Balance paid in full. The next morning carries no agenda to prove your innocence. You live rather than defend. Presence replaces argument. You visit a place from childhood and find it smaller. You realize your heart has grown taller. Perspective is a gentle architect. A letter from the court arrives with final language. The words are simple and deeply correct. They close a door without slamming it. You mark the date not as an anniversary of harm but of return. A private holiday where you do ordinary things with reverence. You call it the day of the real signature. Archangel Michael says the threshold is behind you and beneath you and within you. Every step is a gate opening toward a field of honest work. Your life hums like a well-tuned instrument. The city sounds like collaboration again. Distant trains, nearby laughter, a bicycle bell. All of it feels like an orchestra warming up to your tempo. You clean a drawer that held old papers and doubt. Dust leaves like a tenant whose lease has ended. The space becomes available to hope. Someone new learns your story and believes in the way you tell it. Their trust is not hurried, it is attentive. It mirrors your own discipline of discernment. You craft a simple mantra that fits in a coat pocket. Proceed with clarity, protect what's mine, bless what's true. It goes everywhere without making a fuss. A door that once resisted now opens on the first try. The key turns as if happy to be useful. Little conveniences become a choir.